My name is Chris, and I'm from Kowiaszowick Local Living School, and today we're going to show how to get sap from a maple for drinking. And you don't need anything but just a few simple tools. Before we get started, we should think about who is the maple and what does he look like. And a great thing to look for when you're trying to find a maple in the woods is a tree that's growing like you and me. So if you think about a human, we've got two arms and they come off right opposite each other. It's not like this. I don't have an arm coming out of my hip and one out of my shoulder. So we're looking for a tree that branches like a human. If it has that branching, it doesn't mean it's a maple, but we're close. Here's a little twig of a red maple branching like a human. Now, there's a few others that branch like humans. One of them is dogwood, and we don't have to worry about dogwood because it's a small tree that's not out in our woods. It's a bush. And another one, if it's a tree, would be ash. And ash branches like a human too. So the next thing to look at is let's look really close at a bud. Here we've got sugar maple. Here we've got the red maple. And here we've got white ash. Between the sugar and the red, you can see a pretty clear color difference. The red is red. It's not always going to be that red. They're more red when the tree is really young and there's young growth, like a sapling. Another thing that we can look at now to tell them all apart is the actual bud itself. So a bud is made up of little clasping scales that hold next year's leaf inside, and you can count those scales. So if you look really close at your bud and you're looking at a sugar maple, there's going to be more than 6 scales. If you're looking at a red maple, there's going to be 6 or less scales. And if you're looking at an ash, the ash bud is shaped really differently, and there's 4 is what I count scales, but there's also these very distinct places where last year's big stem attached, because an ash leaf actually is a big stem with lots of little leaflets coming off it. So we're actually going to take a branch off this tree because we want for you to be able to do this without having a drill and a spile and a metal pail and all of that. That is a great way to collect sap, but we're going to do it by just taking off a branch and letting the sap drip. So maybe right out here. Thank you, tree.
Thank you, tree.
All right. So it's a cold day and the sap is not going to be running really good. We are so excited though that we want to just show you this. So, okay, you've got your little pail hanging and we'll wait and see. And in a little while, we're going to get a drip. Sap runs best on a day when the night before it got below freezing, the day after it is sunny and 40 degrees or warmer. That is sugaring weather. Last night it didn't get below freezing, and it's not sunny. So this is a great example of a really bad day for sugaring. But that's okay, because there'll be a sunny day coming. Something else I like to do with this type of setup. Oh, do you see some coming?
There's some coming, but it's dripping off the end of the branch.
Okay. So something that's good is to make a little drip point. So I'm going to just put a little cut. And notice I'm putting, none of my fingers are where my knife is heading if it slips. And then I'm going to just peel that down. And that'll help when the sap starts to flow. It'll direct the drip and it won't run backwards along the limb.
Yep.
And you thought, oh, there's the drip. that there was nothing to do outside today. And so you can actually just hang out and watch the drips, and in about 3 minutes you have a little swallow of sweet water. And I remember being a little boy and doing just that with a paper cup, sitting below a spile, collecting drips. It's really fun. So what if you want to make your own container to collect the sap and turn this into a little bit of a bigger project? Well, for thousands and thousands of years, the first people were doing just this on this exact land, the Native American people who lived in this part of Maine and all up and down the Northeast. And around here, the people used birch bark, and they made a basket like this. And I'm going to show with paper how to make this same basket, and the pattern comes from them. So, if you're good at making paper airplanes, you've got a good start on this project, because you need to make nice folds, just like when you're making your wing and you want it all to line up. So I'm going to line up, make a crease right to the tip of the point, and then crease it back, but I'm not going to go all the way. As far down as I go will be the depth of my basket. Okay, let's do that again on another corner. Line up my edge, crease down the same distance about. We'll do this 4 times. Okay, all 4 corners. Now, I'm going to take 2 corners and fold them right in, like that. Stick a clothespin on there, and we'll take 2 more corners. And fold those like that, and we have a little basket. What if you wanted to do this without a clothespin? Well, you can make your own clothespin, because the earth is amazing and she has everything that we need. So I'm going to take that same branch that we cut off for the sap and make a clothespin. I'm going to use a section that has a little branch coming off of it, because that's always good to keep my clothespin from splitting. Now, I'll lay down my clothespin on a firm surface so my hand is not behind the knife, and make a little split. Just like that. And we'll take off the clothespin and put on the clothespin. Let's make another. This is the same branch that we cut off, so we're getting some good use out of it. Open that up. Same as before. We're going to make a little knot in the basswood string, and you can use any string for this, or yarn. And there's a little basket. So it's always good to think about not taking too much. So this tree is offering us a gift, but we don't want to take this branch and this branch and this branch, because the tree would be giving too much of its life force at that point. So if you think about this tree, which is about as big as me, a little bigger than me, it's fine to take a pinky finger's worth, a branch that's the size of a pinky or smaller, one branch from a tree like that. And the tree will be just fine. Just like on our bigger trees, we can put in 1 or 2 holes, and as that sap flows by the hole, we gather up enough sap to make maple syrup. Maple's not the only tree that you can tap. About a month from now, well, more like 2 weeks from now, we'll probably be tapping birch. And birch runs twice as much volume as maple and is also much less sweet, but very yummy. And we'll show some birch tapping in another video. Other trees that we've heard people tap are walnut and sycamore. Those aren't trees that we have here on our property in Maine, but we've heard that you can tap them, and we'd let you do the research about how to identify and tap those trees. As far as maples, we've tapped red maple, sugar maple, and silver maple. There are other maples that you can tap that we've heard of people tapping, but we've never done it. And so if you want to try those other maples, you should do your own research and learn about them. Alright, so paper actually does hold water, and coming back here after a little while, we've got a little bit of a drink waiting for us. If you want to learn more about Koviashevik, or even come to visit, you can check out MaineLocalLiving.com. Now let's sing a song about the maple. I'll sing a line, and then I'm going to point to you, and that means you're going to sing that same line. So it's a call and response. Before the first green is seen,
before the first green is seen,
on the mountainside or by the stream,
on the mountainside or by the stream,
the sun begins to strengthen his arc.
The sun begins to strengthen his arc,
and lays a promise on the bark,
and lays a promise on the bark,
against gravity's desire,
against gravity's desire.
The sap keeps rising higher and higher.
The sap keeps rising higher and higher,
reaching for that burning fire,
reaching for that burning fire.
And it's spring,
and it's spring.
Let's dance and sing and welcome spring. Let's
Dance and sing and welcome spring.
A dance and sing and welcome spring. A
Dance and sing and welcome spring.
There's only one thing the mother's trying to bring.
There's only one thing the mother's trying to bring,
and it's spring.
and it's spring.